Our story today begins deep within the Amazon rainforest. A small airplane flies over the vast green canopy, carrying a group of student activists, including a young woman named Justine. They are all in high spirits, celebrating the successful completion of their protest mission, eagerly anticipating their return home. However, in an instant, their joy turns into absolute terror. The plane violently collides with a massive obstacle, causing the engine to fail completely. The aircraft shakes uncontrollably, loses balance, and plummets directly into the unforgiving jungle. The impact is so devastating that the plane is torn entirely in half, scattering the passengers across the dense forest. Complete chaos ensues. Once the wreckage finally settles, the survivors step out into a living nightmare. The plane is completely destroyed, many passengers are severely injured, and several have already died. To make matters worse, as they desperately try to navigate the wreckage, one survivor accidentally walks directly into the spinning propeller blades, instantly losing his head. Amidst the panic, the group desperately searches for their missing GPS device, the only tool that can pinpoint their location. There is zero cellular signal, making it impossible to call for help. The situation rapidly deteriorates when the pilot, their only hope for a logical escape plan, tragically dies from his injuries. Suddenly, a survivor named Harvey hears a strange noise echoing from deep within the forest. Believing it might be an indigenous tribe that could offer them help, he convinces the desperate group to follow the sound. Unfortunately, this decision seals their doom. As soon as they enter the tribe's territory, they are mercilessly ambushed. Arrows rain down from every direction, killing several of the students instantly. The remaining survivors are overwhelmed, heavily subdued, and eventually lose consciousness. Hours later, Justine slowly regains consciousness. To her sheer horror, she finds herself tied down in a strange wooden canoe floating down a river. Panicking, she tries to break free, but one of the tribal warriors aggressively yells at her to stay quiet. In that terrifying moment, staring at her captors, she realizes the grim truth. These people are cannibals, and if she stays with them, she is going to die. The warriors bring them to their isolated village, where the entire tribe gathers to celebrate their arrival. The scene is deeply unsettling. The village children are painted in a bizarre red substance, and as the captives are dragged from the boats, the tribe begins performing terrifying, chaotic rituals. Justine's blood runs cold as she notices human remains and ancient skulls proudly displayed everywhere. They are thrown into a large wooden cage, heavily guarded by the tribe. Soon, the tribe's elder leader emerges. He is an incredibly old, bizarre-looking man who heavily leans on a wooden staff. With a single strike of his staff against the ground, the entire village falls into dead silence. He speaks in an unknown, chilling language, leaving the captive students trembling in confusion and fear. The nightmare truly begins when an old woman enters the cage holding a bowl of a mysterious, dark liquid. She violently forces the captives to drink it. The first boy who swallows the liquid is instantly untied. Before he can react, he passes out. The tribesmen drag his unconscious body to a massive stone altar, pinning him down with brute force. The elder leader approaches, brutally gouges out the boy's eyes with his bare hands, and eats them with horrifying satisfaction. The village butcher then steps forward, mercilessly dismembering the boy while he bleeds to death. The entire tribe cheers in wild anticipation, treating the horrific execution like a grand festival. The tribal women immediately take the butchered meat and begin cooking it, skillfully using every single part of the body, including the bones, seasoning it with their own unique spices. The starving village children wait eagerly, completely desensitized to the slaughter. Inside the cage, Justine desperately tries to keep her friends calm, urging them to find an escape route before they are next on the menu. Meanwhile, Harvey stubbornly pulls out his phone, desperately trying to catch a signal, completely ignoring the fact that the tribe is right outside, happily feasting on their friend while raising pigs and sheep as if everything is perfectly normal. That night, the tribe lights a massive bonfire, dancing and singing, completely unbothered by the massacre. The captives seize the moment to argue about their next move. One suggests they must find the GPS to call for help, but others deem it impossible since the village is heavily guarded. Tensions boil over, and Justine furiously blames Harvey for leading them into this death trap. Desperate, one of the girls manages to climb to the top of the cage to unlock it from the outside. But just as she prepares to leap, a guard spots her and shoots her with a tranquilizer dart, knocking her out until morning. The next day, a small tribal boy approaches the cage, completely mesmerized by a shiny necklace Justine is wearing. Seeing an opportunity, Justine tries to befriend the boy, hoping he might help them escape. However, her time is cut short. The butcher returns, dragging Justine and her friends to the same bloody altar. The elder leader carefully inspects the girls. Bizarrely, they return everyone to the cage, except for Justine. Suddenly, a massive, torrential rainstorm hits the village, forcing all the tribal guards to seek shelter in their huts. Realizing this is their only chance, the captives use a cell phone to play loud music, throwing it in the opposite direction to distract the remaining guards. They break out of the cage. The fastest runner among them, a track athlete, sprints with all her might, successfully reaching the riverbank, stealing a small canoe, and escaping into the wild. When the storm passes, the tribe returns Justine to the cage. She is completely covered in strange red tribal paint, looking traumatized and broken. Her friends are horrified, unsure of what was done to her. They soon spot a young tribal girl with unusually pale skin and bound legs. Realizing the horrifying truth, the tribe is preparing Justine for a forced marriage and bizarre ritual. While Justine is paralyzed by fear, Harvey coldly states that she is the lucky one, as the rest of them are destined to be eaten. Later, the village children bring the captives bowls of cooked meat. Starving and delirious, one of the girls, who is strictly a vegetarian, gives in and starts eating. As she finishes her bowl, she makes a soul-crushing discovery. Lying at the bottom is a piece of skin bearing the exact tattoo of their friend who tried to escape earlier. She realizes she has just cannibalized her own friend. Unable to cope with the immense psychological trauma, she grabs a sharp object and tragically commits suicide right in the cage. Her friends are devastated, but they quickly formulate a dark, desperate plan. They hide the heavy stash of drugs they brought with them inside her lifeless body. When the guards discover the dead girl, they immediately drag her out, butcher her, and serve her to the tribe. As the villagers happily eat the tainted meat, the heavy drugs kick in, and the entire tribe quickly passes out unconscious. Seizing the opportunity, Justine and the remaining survivors break out. As they run, Harvey shows his true, cowardly colors. To slow down the few guards who are waking up, he ruthlessly stabs one of his own friends, leaving him behind to be eaten, and escapes without a second thought. The wounded friend wakes up, tries to run, but is quickly surrounded and eaten alive in a brutally gruesome scene. Meanwhile, Justine and another survivor reach the treacherous river. As they try to cross, Justine trips, and the violent current sweeps her away. After a grueling struggle, they miraculously wash up exactly where their nightmare began, the plane crash site. But their relief is shattered when they see the dismembered bodies of their fellow passengers hanging from the trees to dry. They scramble to find the GPS, only to discover its battery is completely dead. Suddenly, they hear a cell phone ringing nearby. They sprint toward the sound, grab the phone, but before they can make a call, tribal hunters ambush them and drag them straight back to the village. The next morning, the village prepares for Justine's bizarre wedding ritual. To break her spirit, they brutally tie up her last remaining friend, covering his body in a strange green paste and throwing hundreds of blood-sucking insects on him. He screams in agonizing, prolonged pain as he is tortured to death right in front of her. Justine weeps helplessly as the elder leader raises his wooden weapon to finalize the ritual. Suddenly, loud, chaotic screams echo from the edge of the forest. A tribal boy runs in, shouting that a heavily armed rescue team has arrived. Thrilled by the prospect of fresh meat, the entire tribe, including the leader, abandons the ritual and rushes into the jungle to hunt the mercenaries. In the empty village, the young boy who admired Justine's necklace sneaks up and quietly unties her. Justine rushes to her tortured friend, but he is brutally mutilated and moments away from death. He forces his phone into her hands, begging her to run. Because Justine refuses to leave his side, the tribal boy steps forward and swiftly ends the friend's life. sparing him further agony and forcing Justine to escape. As she runs, Harvey, who is tied to a post, begs her to save him. Knowing he cowardly sacrificed their friend, Justine refuses, leaving him to face the brutal consequences of his actions. Guided by the young boy, she navigates the dense jungle towards safety. Near the river, she encounters a fierce jaguar blocking her path. A tribal warrior woman spots Justine and raises her weapon to kill her, but upon seeing the jaguar, which the tribe worships as a sacred omen, she lowers her weapon, believing the jungle gods are protecting Justine, and lets her go. Justine finally bursts through the tree line, running directly into the middle of a massive firefight between the rescue team and the cannibal tribe. Because she is covered in tribal paint and bizarre clothing, the mercenaries mistake her for a cannibal and aim their guns at her. Desperate, she holds up the cell phone and screams in English at the top of her lungs. Realizing she is a survivor, they pull her to safety. Before they board the extraction chopper, the team asks if anyone else is alive. Looking back at the jungle, Justine firmly lies, stating she is the only survivor, effectively leaving Harvey behind to rot. Justine returns home to America, instantly becoming world famous for her miraculous survival, though she is forever haunted by the psychological trauma. Sometime later, while looking at updated satellite photos of the Amazon region, she spots a chilling detail. Standing amongst the cannibal tribe, painted in their colors, is a man who looks exactly like Harvey. He wasn't eaten. Instead, he survived, took his punishment, and became the tribe's brand new butcher.